Let's talk about Microsoft stocks today. There's an interesting story despite this being a huge company. Ever since the current CEO Nadal took over in 2014, you can see that stock price has performed amazingly well. It's up by a lot. Despite having billions in revenue already, the company continues to grow at an amazing pace. It's not just cloud growth that's growing well despite being already a huge player. We will see that there's an element of amazing capital management and the way that the CEO in this case is deploying capital, mainly via acquisitions. That has been able to serve Microsoft extremely well. If we look in terms of top FAANG companies, they're only being outperformed by Apple in this case. So hat off to the CEO of Microsoft for being amazing in capital deployment. Let's take a quick look at some revenue and profits figures before we go more into detail, because there's been some recent development in the area of how Microsoft is earning their money. As you can see, the $billion revenue figures coming in year on year here. Let's take a look at how it's looking in terms of quarters. Just amazing revenue growth, and as we know, the company is profitable in terms of earnings per share. They're making a ton of money not only from cloud and operating system, as we will find out later, but just take a look at these earnings per shares numbers. Recent year growth has been absolutely amazing. Just look at the year-on-year growth figures here for quarterly growth: 27%, 19%, 10%, and then some declines here. Although these are, amazing figures for a company the size of Microsoft. And then, of course, during the pandemic years, everyone was transitioning to working remotely, and of course, you need a lot of cloud computing for that to work from anywhere, and people were spending more time on social media. Oh, wait, they have social media as well. Yes, they indeed do, as you will see more on in this list. Well, if we look at Microsoft, we can see that the main way that they choose to deploy extra capital is via acquisitions, and it's been in the news recently here with the Activision Blizzard merger going through and them picking up this company. Although they've done some other large acquisitions in the past as well that are quite notorious. In this case, it's Mojang, or Minecraft, as some of you might know, around 2014, I think that was. And then also LinkedIn, a large social media giant. And recently they also made some acquisitions in the healthcare sector with a company operating a certain AI model in that case. So they have made, as you can see, a ton of acquisitions. Here indeed you see Mojang, Minecraft, 2014, and the list goes on and on with just a huge amount of acquisitions. GitHub is another big one if you're in the developer community. You have heard about those for sure. But as you can see, they have this clear strategy of buying and operating other companies. And if you didn't know about this, for example, here at LinkedIn in 2016, you might have no idea that it's a Microsoft-owned company, because they don't change a lot when they acquire the company. They don't slap their logo on it. They don't force you to log in with a Microsoft email or anything like that. They just continue to operate them as if they were standalone companies, basically. And as consumers, we tend to have no ideas about how massive this company is in terms of owning. You could almost say that it's a holding company. And this has been a strategy of the current CEO, just acquiring more and more businesses and growing larger and larger, doing this quite successfully. And now, with the recent acquisition here on Activision Blizzard, they're taking an even larger space in the gaming community. So with Xbox, with Minecraft, with Activision Blizzard, And as somebody who follows along on what's going on in the gaming community, I waited a bit to make this video, but they're already being active. They're already patching old Blizzard games, coming out with updates, and they're doing things with this acquisition. So they're actively managing the new company, trying to improve things, trying to improve profitability. And in terms of future profit opportunities, we have the Game Pass. Maybe games such as World of Warcraft will be added to that Game Pass, and by owning a lot of gaming intellectual properties, they could potentially create massive value in this case with this monthly subscription offering a ton of games that they have under their umbrella, under one subscription price. It will be good for all the games with the influx of potential new players who wouldn't buy, for example, let's say World of Warcraft as a standalone game. It's quite a hefty price, but with the Game Pass, they might try it and they might enjoy it. And they might continue to subscribe with this model, paying Microsoft a lot of money in the process for years to come. Easy to acquire new customers, and then having that lifetime value in place. So Microsoft has become a lot more attractive in recent years. There's a ton of bullish potential in this company, although what tends to be getting all the focus in the media is of course the AI battle that's going on right now. That tends to get all the focus, all the media coverage. But in the background we have these gaming plays, for example. And then we also have these other companies such as LinkedIn performing amazingly well, for Microsoft being extremely profitable. If we take a look at it, it's one of those social media platforms that consumers, users spend the least amount of time on, but they're the most profitable if you compare them to, for example, Facebook. So they get a ton of value from companies being owned such as that one as well. And that's what you're seeing reflected in the numbers. That's what you're seeing in this growth. And then in terms of tax rate, they're also extremely smart. I did some initial research on this tax rate, although you're not going to find accurate information in this case. I would take this with a grain of salt. Regarding tax structures, we all know about the Irish one, where you move your intellectual property to Ireland and you pay that extremely low tax rate. That's very attractive. A lot of big companies do that. However, Microsoft also had a smart way in one South American company where they would employ a few people to burn the CDs for the operating system in the past. So for basically 40 or 80 jobs or something like this, they paid zero tax in a South American country in this case, having all the profits from the operating system going back there. So they have a long history of being extremely smart in their tax planning. And the relationship in this case was one of the things that enabled them to do this. It was one of the big four in terms of accounting and tax planning that was able to set up the structure, and not only with the knowledge but leveraging existing relationships with company officials in this case. So Microsoft has a lot of pull, a lot of power. They own a ton of capital. They have the relationships in place to be able to continue to maximize profits for shareholders. And now with this recent Activision Blizzard acquisition, they also have a potential to leverage that in their gaming pass and continue to create a ton of value for the gamers, the consumers, growing that side of the business, and thus bringing in even more value for shareholders. So despite having an amazing run-up in recent years in stock price, I think that Microsoft has the potential to continue to outperform the broader market and grow faster. Why grow faster? Well, they have this tax planning structure in place that smaller companies at a smaller scale can't enjoy. They can't replicate this. It's a competitive advantage for Microsoft. It's a moat. They're this global mega company that can shift around profits to where it's most suitable for them. And then they also have this bullish triggers with potential for a lot of growth in, for example, the gaming industry and in other companies that they are holding. There's basically too much going on to be able to cover it in a single video. There are so many plays, so many things that can go right, and it's basically quite the safe bet in my opinion. I don't think that as an investor, if I were to have, big amounts of cash that I needed to deploy, then I would not be able to do it with the same successful track record that Nadal has been able to do for Microsoft. They're a mega cap, they're a huge company, and they're still able to grow at a rapid pace. This is a lot easier to do as small investors trying to grow our money. We can invest in small caps, for example Porch Group on this channel that has performed amazingly well. When we looked at that company, the market cap of that was about 100 million. Compare that to Microsoft. They will need to find 2,000 Porch Groups to be able to deploy their money, and this is indeed what they're doing. They are finding these companies to buy, to deploy their money. They're basically doing the same thing that we are doing as retail investors with great success. Very impressive performance from this company, very successful track record, and in my opinion they have quite the bullish future ahead. Alright, that's been it for this video covering Microsoft, and as always, hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now. Bye bye.